And we are live again. This is absolutely brilliant. I'm back with Brand van der West and Buttons Heyns, and we are going to talk about communication. It is so important to communicate in your business today. And how do we do that? What's a good way to communicate with our fans, with our employees, with our family? So, Brunt, you start off and introduce yourself.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Veronica, and it's great to be back. So, what is communication? Communication is a tool. It's a tool to establish relationships, and that means business relationship, personal relationships. It goes on and on and on. Whatever sort of relationship you want. Communication is just a tool to establish what you want and how to get it. So there's tools to think and to speak and to listen and all kinds of things. So what communication really is, it's broken up into speaking and listening. So we should be able to listen and to speak, and that forms part of communication. Communication is not just a one-sided yap, yap, yap. You have to take in what happens and then respond to it appropriately.
Probably tell your wives that, right? Stop talking.
My wives. I've just got the one, almost.
Wives. So Buttons, introduce yourself as well. Let's quickly introduce ourselves, and then we'll talk further about communication. I'm really interested in this subject because these days it's so important to communicate, and it's so difficult because we are in a isolation situation everywhere in the world. You guys are in Namibia, and I'm in America. It's not so bad here, but it's still, you're still isolated. It's still difficult to go out and actually shake hands with customers and clients and even family. There's always a scary thing. Who they met, who did they spray on, and am I going to get it? So I'm Veronica Jeans, and I'm an e-commerce coach and business consultant. And as I said, I'm originally from Namibia, and I'm living in Houston right now. So Buttons is my cousin, and so we're keeping it in the family. So Buttons, tell us more about yourself, and then we'll head to Brunt, and then Brunt can take us off.
Yeah, okay. I'm Buttons Heyns, and from Swakopmund in Namibia, which is on the west coast. I think this is the third session we've had, so people must now start listening to where Namibia is, and also where Swakopmund is. My company's name is Connect People to People, and that is what we do. We connect people to people, whether it's personal, whether it's businesses, whether it's sport groups, doesn't matter. We communicate with them and we connect them, and we do networking. And Brand is a colleague of ours, and we work together. He's also from Swakopmund. At the moment, I'm in Windhoek, the capital of Namibia, and I can tell you that people also communicate differently in city.
Yeah.
So from the one city to the other city, the communication is not the same. So what's good in Swakopmund or in Houston might not be good in Windhoek or in New York.
Yeah, absolutely.
They might not understand what you're saying, because this is what we do in Swakop, and this is what we do in Houston, and this is what we do in Windhoek.
Yes.
So obviously we have to get over that, but it boils down to what Brand just said now. Communication is about giving a message out, but also about listening. And we've experienced a lot this week about that, and we get back to that later. And over to Brand. Thank you, Brand.
Thank you very much, Buttons. Yes, so my name is Brand van West. I'm a professional speaker, author, and trainer in the fields of creative thinking, leadership, and innovation. And today we're going to talk a little bit about communication, which forms part of my 4 keys to innovation that I teach companies how to become solution finders rather than problem seekers. So thank you again for joining us, and this is just a brilliant show and a brilliant way to communicate, and because it is so important. And I like what Butter said, just people communicate differently here. They are weird people. He didn't say weird, but it was implied. Okay. So I've experienced Windhoek. It's a tough city with tough people, and wonderful and amazing people. Don't get me wrong, but it is
different.
Still, it's different. It's different from a small town like New York or Chicago or Houston would be a much different place to communicate.
Yep.
So, yes, so communication, like I said, it's a tool to establish relationships with and to build and to guide us and to help us grow. Any questions so far about this?
No, but I totally agree. You know, Houston is very southern, and so when I moved from Holland to Houston, these people are so friendly. It's like there's something wrong with them. You know, they're always telling you, "Have a good day," and "How are you, ma'am?" And it's like, phew, this is. And so when you go to New York, it's this. You know, people are very rude. You know, so
well, it's busy place, busy people. You know, so.
Yeah, it's all different, right? I agree with you. And then going from Houston to where I am, again, you know, I'm at the coast, so you're more relaxed and is like aloha, right?
Ah, yes. So, you know, even in a way, they would probably say aloha. But it's actually, I think there was a study done where they actually proved that people in larger cities walk faster.
Yeah, we're always in a hurry. We have to get somewhere.
Yeah. Which is odd, but yeah. So it's wonderful and it's amazing to know that there's so much diversity out there, even in communication. And when we talk about communication, it broke up in listening and speaking. So it's not just about a one-sided discussion.
No.
And we need to be able to listen to someone else, because only by listening to what's happening around us do we understand how better to communicate as well, how better to speak, how better to do what we need to do and to establish and build those relationships. So there are reasons for speaking, right? So it's either to inform, to persuade, to entertain, or to educate. Those are the four main ones. And I would argue that just about everything else would fit into those four things. For example, now, if you are in the military, you're going to speak very differently to your people than you would at a PR meeting, for example.
Yes.
Right? So it's, you know, it's very different. And you have to understand that when you communicate, when you speak, when you listen, it's all about, you know, who you speaking to, what's happening, when is this taking place, where is this happening, why do I need to do this, how should I do this, how should I go about this. You need to understand your audience essentially here. That's really what it comes down to, is understanding who you are speaking to.
Yes, absolutely. And that, I mean, if that's the first thing about sales. We're on business, so we always selling. So I know Buttons mentioned the colors, you know, the four colors, the four main colors of, is it personality? So you immediately
thinking preferences,
right? Yes. Yeah. So if you're speaking to somebody who needs information, short, brief, boom, there you are. Or if you're speaking to somebody who needs lots of information, you need to know how to communicate with them, right?
Yes, exactly. So, for example, the CEO... Sorry, Buttons, yes, please.
No, it's quite true, because the meaning of communication is actually the meaning that you give to it. But that's important, and also what's important, if you have the thinking preferences, you have to now analyze the thinking preference of somebody else that you want to communicate to, because they might perceive the message that you're sending out not in the way that you mean, or they might not accept the way that you mean it. So it's important to also know who you're talking to and what their personalities are and what their thinking preferences are, especially in business when you're talking about sales, because then you have to sort of address the specific person in the way that he prefers to think. Yes. And that is the way you will probably better communicate with him, because he is prone to that specific thinking preference.
Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. So, for example, now, whenever we try and communicate, we need to know who we are speaking to, right? So that's number one. We need to know our audience. For example, someone who is a very creative thinker, I want to say, very intuitive in their thinking. They want to. You need to sell them on the vision, right?
Yes.
You need to sell them on the future. So when you communicate to them, you need to talk about the future, and the possibilities are endless, and the sky is the limit. There are no limits. and it's all entertainment and it's all wonderful and amazing, right? But let's say you talk to someone who is more people, right? You need to tell them it's like, this is going to be good for the people around you. This is going to build structure and build communities. This is going to employ people. That's what sells them. They don't care about the vision. They talk about the here and now. You know, it's like, will my people be affected? How will this affect them?
Yes.
If we want to talk to the more directive people, it's like, you know, they want to be in charge. So when you sell them idea, you're going to say, I'm going to put you in charge.
Yes.
I want someone who gets things done. That's you. It's like, yes, that's me. Yes, good, very nice.
Yes.
If we talk to someone who likes the more detailed person, you need to see, you know, it's like, and these are my budget figures, this is my long-term plan, this is the research that I've done, this is the competition, this is the gross value, this is the net profit, this is all these things. That's what speaks to them. So you can't go and to the person who likes the details, tell about the vision. It's like, yeah, whatever. Where's your numbers? Where's the facts?
Yeah.
How much?
Yes.
When? Why?
Yeah.
By what time?
Buttons?
So it's quite true. I actually went to see a client of ours today that we had a session with him 2 months ago. And obviously now I know these people from the 2 days that we did the sessions. I know their thinking preferences. And it was actually very, very nice to actually go in there and see how they react, because I now went out there and I was now this red person, the human factor, the touching one, the feeling one, and you could see the reaction from the different people, and they're all engineers, so they're sitting there and their brains are churning, and figure guys as well there. So it was and there was only 1 or 2 people that's in the red category, so it was actually funny to see how the others reacted. But obviously I did it purposefully, so to see what the reaction was. How's it going with you? How's your mother? How's your father? And obviously they don't perceive it the same way. Everybody don't perceive it the same way.
What are you talking about, mom? Like, what do you know?
Yes, exactly. I mean, I hear when you know, in communication as well, you mentioned about talking and then sometimes not talking. So
yes.
I tend to, I'm teaching. I'm always teaching people and telling them what to do and telling them what we're implementing or what they need to do. But sometimes, you know, yesterday a client called me and all she wanted me to do was listen, you know, and I was so excited to talk to her. I mean, she's actually made in the last 2 months what she's made in one of her best years. In one day, she made $30,000 online. And the good things about it and the bad things about it. You know, sometimes it's you've got to be careful what you wish for. But all she wanted me to do was just to listen, because she had all these complaints of, yes, you know, her clients and customers complaining and the good things and the bad things. And so, but it's very hard sometimes to keep your mouth shut and just to listen, you know, because, right?
Yes, absolutely, because not everybody wants you to be the solution to their problem.
Yes.
They want you to be the sounding board, to be the sponge that just soaks up what they need to say, because they need to say it, they need to get out of their own heads, they need to be able to get focused. So sometimes our head just gets too cluttered with all our thoughts, and we can't really separate them unless we verbalize it and actually start talking about it. And that's why it's so important to just know when to shut up, basically, like you said, right? So sometimes listening is a valuable skill too, because that also is how you investigate your audience, and you know what their pain points are, you know what to do and when to do it and how to do it and why you should be doing it. Mm-hmm. So just by listening, you should be able to have a very clear understanding of what needs to be done.
Exactly.
And so there's many times where I just don't talk and I just listen to what's happening. And you'll be amazed what people say when I don't think you're actually listening. So that's also quite cool. But it's very interesting that our thinking preferences really influence everything we do. And by just simply understanding that, which is why when I go speak at conferences, I need to know who's in the room.
Yes.
I need to know who I'm speaking to. Mm-hmm. Is this now a group of engineers like Butters was speaking to? Because then I'm not going to go with the whole touchy-feely thing, right? They want details, they want results driven. If this is a bunch of IT technicians, again, they want details, they want facts. It's like buy how much, buy
Yeah.
when, what
Yeah,
time,
or what
kind of
to
things.
do, right? Give me
what to
give me
do.
the details.
So
Yes.
some people is just like, I want it to be clear, I want it to be concise, and I
Yes.
want it to be specific. Don't tell me we're meeting at about 5. Right, about 5 when? When is about? What time is that?
This is Namibian time.
It's Namibian time. Yeah, we still
Yes.
it still gets me.
Yeah. This,
People
we
was
will,
like
we will
7
meet
and
you
then they
just
arrive 2 hours later.
just now.
Well,
What, when
there's
is just
political
now?
time. Just now. Or now. Like, when is that? Well,
Yes.
the Afrikaners have this way of saying,
Because-
ja, nee.
Yeah, near.
Yeah. What is
Yeah.
now needed? It's a yes and no.
He said no.
Yeah. So it's important sometimes, and especially in business world where you are trying to sell a product, and normally these business people, sales managers or sales marketing people are on your yellow and red side, and they are so excited about the product that they're selling, is that they just want to get the message over,
Yes.
but they're not listening, or they're just gobbling on, and they're not listening or seeing that there's irritation in the person to whom they're actually selling the product, and that might just totally lose the sale
Yes.
because you haven't actually given the person a chance to tell his story.
Yes.
And then when he does tell you the story, or when he has a chance now to communicate, you're not listening to what he's saying, because all you're thinking now is what's in your mind and what's the next step when he closes his mouth, what you want to say.
Exactly.
Even sometimes when he does it.
And,
Yes, exactly.
and sometimes you walk out there, and maybe sometimes there's two people that's actually doing the sale, and you walk out there and you said, but didn't you recognize that the man was not listening to you? He's frustrated to pieces because you're rumbling on, and because you don't actually understand his thinking preference, and that's
No.
why you're not communicating properly. So that's important, and that's also where Brand says the importance of listening.
Yes.
And there's an old little the telephone little play with where you do that and you talk to somebody and you give them a message, and the message
Right,
must
that
then
message.
pass on to other people. And by the end of the day, when the message reaches you, it's not even close to what you said.
Yes.
So listening, that's why listening is so important.
Yeah.
And that's obviously also where questioning come in, where questions come in with communication. Yeah, so that's so important to that's where listening is so important, especially with your business
Yes.
and in your company. When you have to get feedback, it's not about how you feel about it, it's the way that they want to give it back to you, and then you can listen, and at least they then feel, when you listen properly to people, they feel important, they feel that they got value, and that's how you start communicating properly in the business.
Yes. Sorry. There's one thing that Donna mentioned yesterday with this really, she just literally did that spiral of for a business from 0 to 90 in 60 seconds. And one of the biggest problems she's learned a lot of stuff, is communication with her customers. Just to let them know, hey, I'm on your job, I'm doing it, it's being done, don't worry, and not have this vacuum of nothing's happening and your customer doesn't know what's happening. I find that a lot of small businesses do not communicate with their customers properly, which I mean is that they will communicate once or twice, but they don't keep it up. They don't keep in touch, or they don't keep in touch while they're doing the project. And even big customers, big companies as well, is that communication. You've got to stay in communication with your clients and pat their hand every single day, practically, right?
So it's unfortunate that a lot of people don't know what they want.
Yes.
And that's why questioning is so very important. So sometimes you do need to speak a bit more than you listen, because you need to get some information out, and you need to then shut up and listen to what actually needs to be done. So a basic rule of thumb is give them what they want, sell them what they need. So it's all about,
Yes.
I want this and I want this, and it's like, absolutely, we'll absolutely get there. Can I interest you in this sort of thing, right?
Yes.
Or sometimes people
Yes.
they don't really know
No.
what they need. They don't know what they want, but they know they want something. So they're both basically, they are indecisive and impatient at the same time.
Yes, because
so
they're entrepreneurs,
you know. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they're in business. They're in business. They've taken a risk. I mean, they want things to happen fast, baby. You know, and things are not happening fast.
Things are not happening fast.
Yes.
So because the world doesn't have to fit to you, you have to fit to the world, which is unfortunate, but it's true.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Right, so when you communicate, you need to understand: am I here to entertain? Am I here to persuade? Am I here to educate? Am I here to inform?
Yeah.
Right. We need to understand what exactly is my function here. Am I just going to speak forever and say nothing? You know, I could just yap on all day and really, I haven't really done anything. I just wasted air and words. Or am I actually here to serve a purpose? And even if it's just entertainment, okay, but then let's focus on how to best accomplish that goal.
So communication. What tools would you communicate with? I mean, now it's really hard to communicate directly with, although we're all coming out of COVID, right? But you know, anytime there can be another disaster. As I just told Buttons, we are going into a hurricane situation right now. I mean, they're saying that it's going to be the worst an active hurricane in years, because we've been pretty lucky up to now. But you know, the disaster strikes, and you know, and so what happens is the city empties, right? If that's wherever it's going to hit, they empty the city, and there are escape routes. You've got to plan for it. You know, you got to know, okay, this is what's going to happen. And obviously, the cities have learned how to communicate with people so they can get them out of the city safely. But as a business, you need to have a communication in place, because cell phones go down, internet goes down, because we have so much water, right? So how are you going to communicate with your employees and with your customers, because their projects are going to be interrupted? So you've got to have those things in place. So I mean, so for instance, in Namibia, what would you suggest, or in a business situation, about communication and how to communicate?
Right. So communication. Let's just take communication as part of an incident or something that happens.
Yes.
Now I can use an example. I'm not going to name names, but let's say a government, I'm not saying which, says that, okay, we're going into lockdown. Okay. We're going to lockdown midnight Thursday, and it's going to last for 8 days, from the 4th to the 12th, right? Or let's say it's going to last. So, but Thursday is the 1st of July, for example, and if you're going on lockdown on midnight Thursday, but then they actually mean Friday, or do they mean Wednesday morning midnight? Because midnight is very ambiguous, right? So people say morning, night, whatever. So do they mean now Thursday morning? Do they mean Wednesday morning? Do they mean what exactly do they mean?
Yeah.
Now, if they say we're going to go from the 4th to the 8th, we're going to go on lockdown starting on the 1st. It's like that's a mixed message.
Yes.
So we can't go on lockdown on the 4th of July starting on the 1st of July.
Yes.
It just doesn't make any sense. Right? So it's not putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
So when you communicate in a situation where it needs to happen now, like you said, right? Especially in business.
Yes. It's happening.
And
if that storm's coming.
If you're the CEO of your business, that person, she doesn't have time to go and ask about your family and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
That person is very busy. She can't take the time out and say, how's your mom and all kinds of things. You know, it's like, if something happens now, it needs to respond now. So you need to be clear, you need to be concise, you need to be specific.
And also written down in rules and regulations in their handbook, right? The basics. People tend to forget about just the basic thing of having it on a wall in the office where everybody can see it and everybody ignores it because it's there all the time, right? It's like a sticky that you stick on your computer that you don't notice after a while. But still,
Like a company's core values that's on the wall, but nobody ever pays attention to it.
Yes, exactly. Communication, right? Is that communication and trust that you have to have with and you have to keep reminding people, because people forget. I mean, we all forget. Unfortunately, a life happens, right? Buttons?
Yeah, I mean, also just want to touch on quickly. Obviously, we're all talking about COVID now because it's happening to us. But communication is also time sensitive, and communication is also needs to be put out there at the right time, and like Brand said, clear and concise. Now that's what happens now with your laws that you have and the regulations that you also put in.
Yes.
And the message is coming from above. And it has to go down to the lower level to the people that's actually executing this and that must police it.
Yes.
And that message is not getting there quick enough sometimes and not clear enough.
Yes.
Now the other side is also true. Now businesses have to now sort of digest these regulations and see and know exactly how they may operate and what the regulations are. And then when these messages are ambiguous and it's not clear, then confusion starts opening up, because we have situations here where restaurants got locked down and closed 3 times the same night because everybody that arrives there has a different idea of what was communicated.
Yes.
And I mean, obviously that can be so detrimental to your business.
Yes.
And also the communication, we have situations here, we have a situation now where fake news was actually sent out in the public, and that cost the company a huge amount of money.
Yes.
So obviously be also careful how you communicate and what you put out there.
Yes.
So
yes, absolutely. And do it on your be on. So what I find with most businesses are not online as in social media. Right? Large businesses, because we're too big, we don't need social media. So when as Buttons, as you said, when that fake news goes out, people believe it because they've never communicated with their customers on a social media platform where these people are every single day, right? So you just got to be in touch with who your customers are and who your clients are, so that you know where you can put the message out. And remember where you have to put the message out as well, because some businesses have, so if you're talking about social media, some businesses have Google My Business. I don't know if we have in Namibia, probably, right? And then some people have it on Facebook.
We got Google.
Yes, I know, you never know, right? And then on their websites, and they will fix the time on one section and forget to fix the time somewhere else, because it's just like somebody else is doing it. They don't get round to it. That stuff has to be written down as well. These steps you need to take in this situation. If there's something else happening, you need to take these steps. A simple thing like, we will be closed on Saturday because of a storm, since that storm is heading my way. Never mind COVID right now. I'm getting ready for a storm, but just those little things of I'm in the marina. I live on a boat, so I'm in a marina, and we send out news flashes of, okay, there's a storm coming. Just come and bloody well fix your boat and tie it down, right? But we warn our customers that they need to start thinking about, storm's coming up. I know it might not hit, but get ready. Make sure that you're safe. And we have about 10 different types of lists that we can send out, and we have it online as well to customers, so that they know what to do in their house. Right? Electricity goes out. You need a candle. You need to be able to make a cup of tea. So
I even have a bug out bag, a bob.
Yes.
It's a bag with essentials in case of something happens.
Yes.
Right? In case of a disaster, in case of something, in case I need to leave the country quickly for some reason. Okay. So but let's take your example now of, we need to be closed on Saturday.
Yes.
Now, content is good, but context is king.
Yes.
So let's say you just said, we'll be closed on Saturday, we put that on Facebook. Now you're surprised that 3 Saturdays in a row, nobody's showing up.
Yes.
It's like, why is no one showing up on my door? What's happening here?
Yes.
It's like, oh, okay. We didn't say we're going to be closed on Saturday from 2 a.m. to 5 p.m.
And
because
the date.
of this storm,
Yes.
right? On this day, for these reasons.
Yes.
So then, when someone else sees your Facebook page, they just say, we're closed on Saturday. Oh, okay, I'm just not going to bother then. I'm going to go somewhere else. Right? So,
Yes.
always know
Yes.
who you're talking to, what you're saying. So, clear. It needs to be clear.
Yes.
It needs to be concise.
Yes.
It needs to be specific.
And
So, clear
especially,
meaning,
Yeah.
say exactly what you mean, and you don't, for example, now, and this is one of my pet peeves when I see a trainer say, if you know what I mean, and then they carry on with their lesson. It's like, no. Sorry, it's not up to me to know what you mean. It's up to you to communicate
Yes,
what you mean.
Exactly. Yes, I've never noticed that. But you were saying about restaurants. In restaurants, and we're in the COVID right now, so things are happening as we're going on. Can we open the businesses, hairdressers, whatever they are, and can we not? And what do we do when we have a restaurant? Who can we allow? What do we do with our customers? And I think there was a bit of confusion in New York, if I can remember the news properly, is people, the restaurants were not sure what they were allowed to do and not allowed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And one big thing is, as a restaurant, which people don't realize, is you can disallow somebody to not come into your place of business.
The right of admission is
right,
reserved.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly, right. So if they're not wearing a mask, you can say to them, you can't come and spray your germs in here. but again,
But it's
you
exactly
have to.
true.
Yeah.
And for example, let's say the government says, we need to keep now a book of everybody who comes in. We need their ID number. We need their phone number. We need their home address, all those things. They need to wear a mask. They need to have hand sanitizer, all kinds of things. Now someone comes in and says, that's a lot of work.
Yes.
Bugger this. I'm not doing that.
Yes.
It's like, why should I be put into an imposition? But the government doesn't say, it's like, look, dude, it's not about you.
Yes.
If you come in between, and you've signed a register that says you were here between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m., and all of a sudden, there's an outbreak of a disease, a crisis, a something, from that center that you visited between 9 and 10. We can track all the people that signed into that register between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. We can know that if they are foreigners, we can know if they were locals, we can know where they come from, we can call them, we can visit them, we can get things done.
Yes.
Right? But the government doesn't tell you that. They just say, you need to do this and this and this. So
Yes.
basically the authoritarian rule of, which is why is also important when you communicate the how and the where and the what and the who
Yes,
and all those other
exactly.
things.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah, we could see that now also happening here. It's not only in New York; it's all over there.
Mm-hmm.
Communication is all over, and if it's not clear and concise, it's not going to get the right outcome. Because when we started registering at restaurants and at shops and whatever, there was only your name and signature. Now it's your full name and surname. And later it became your full name, your surname, and now today I had to fill in my ID number.
Yes.
And then so it's now expanding. So actually what's happening now with the communication is it took 3 or 4 days to get the right message out there.
Mm-hmm.
And in the between, a lot of things could have happened.
Yeah.
But okay,
Yes.
so they've got
Yes.
them. It's your name, your surname, your ID number, your telephone number, because if you lie about your telephone number, then it's so. And then you sign. So that's a line of communication that wasn't properly clearly put out.
Yes.
So it took a few days to get the results done. And
Yes.
that can be detrimental because communication is not proper.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
for example, if you say, I need everybody to make and sign a register. Okay, so you got clear and you got concise, okay, but you didn't get specific. So you didn't get that one right.
Yes.
So you didn't say what happens in that register is I need A, B, C, and D,
Yes.
right? And what happens afterwards, I need you to submit that register every Friday by 8 a.m. to this specific email address, and you need to wait for a response that said it was acknowledged and was received. right? So that is what we now would call our standard operating procedures, or
Yes.
SOP.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
Yes.
in your business, in your home, in your community, when there's a loud siren, it doesn't. You shouldn't just be wondering. It's like, is there a party? You should be getting up and getting out, right? You shouldn't wonder, is that who's got a siren? Why would someone have a siren? You
Yes.
should know
Yes.
that by calling 911, it's not for information; it's for emergency.
Yes.
You should know exactly. You should know these things.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
shouldn't be calling 411 for a number to 911.
Yes.
So 911 is clear, it's specific, and it's precise.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
Tell me what's the situation, and you see that a lot. Yeah. So it also changes from situation to situation. So if there's a danger situation,
Yes.
you have to be clear. If it's not so urgent or not so, then you might be veering off on the clear and concise. But that's how it sort of interchanges. Yeah, I mean, it's so important that you are talking to who you're talking. You know who you're talking to. You understand what they need. You make it possible for them to understand you. And we've seen this week also with the groups that we've been working with, what they perceived, what was happening, because the message wasn't put out correctly.
Yes.
And
yes, I know, right?
we also see that with the schools. Who's opening when, and when are they allowed to do what? And so that's difficult. And so the problem also, and maybe can touch on that next week, is the question situation. So where do you direct your questions to, and who's going to give you the right answer, and what is the right answer?
Yeah.
And
yeah, there has to be a clear path to wherever you can get the answer. And so so in my with my clients is the communication on their websites, right? Everybody, if you're not online, by the way, you are not in business, right? If you do not have a website nowadays, I don't care whether you're on Swakopmund or in Seabrook, then you're not in business, because everybody does research for you online. But make sure that your customers can have a clear, direct communication line to you, not like, okay, I'm going to fill in this form and it's going to disappear on the internet. Make sure that they have several ways to communicate.
Yes. So it's funny that you say that. There's a website company that's in Namibia, and I've had to do work with them. But just to get them to answer the phone was a challenge, because they've got 4 numbers. So they've got 4 numbers, and one of them works depending on what day you might catch them.
Yes.
So they've got 4 numbers, and now you have to store all 4 numbers and call them one by one, because you don't know that even if number 4 works, tomorrow number 4 doesn't work, number 1 works again. And the next day number 1 doesn't work, but number 2 might work. And then it's just so random. And even though they've got an email address, it bounces back and says, not valid. And that's on their website, or it's on their app. And it's like, how are you still in business?
I know.
If no one can find you, if no one can talk to you, how do you exist?
I know. And so coming back to my customer, Donna, and she said she's got, because I've known her now probably 10 plus years. We've been doing business together. And so she's grown from being very small to very large right now. But, those things go up and down. And so she's used several emails. But she also has a business email. But it's always very comfortable using your normal email, right? That your AOL or your Yahoo or whatever you want to use.
Yes.
And so one of the biggest things that she said was that she is going to correct is having clear communication with her customers through her email address, and knowing that orders go to orders, information goes to information, because if everything goes into one bucket, it's a hell of a bloody mess, right?
It is unfortunate. So when you need to sift through things. So I've got several email accounts.
Yes.
One for the publishing business that I have, one for my personal, one for just spam.
Yes.
Got an email address just for spam. If I need to sign something, I just put in that email address. And I've got an email address for professional speaking.
Yes.
So whatever email address I open, I know exactly what to do with that email. I don't have to sift through everything.
Yes.
So one email I just never open, because I just know it's spam.
Yeah.
So I never look at it.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a basic
you know,
dumping site.
But you also got to realize sometimes your normal email goes to spam as well, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
you check your spam on a regular basis.
Yeah. But you have
again,
to.
it's and then you just verify that it's not spam. So, for example, now you said that if you communicate via a private email address, such as Gmail or Yahoo or whatever, and you're a business, that already makes me feel uncomfortable with
Yes.
using you.
Exactly.
It's just because of so many phishing scams and all kinds of things that happen from, for example, when I tell people, it's like, look, how to tell if it's scam? So Microsoft would likely never send you an email from a Gmail account. It just seems suspicious. I'm not saying they won't. I'm just saying
Yes.
maybe just look further into this.
Yes.
Just like
Yes. Yes.
So just basic things. So if you send me something from a Gmail account, and your business has existed for like 5 years or something like that,
Yes.
and you know there's like $200 million to register an email account, right?
Yes.
And to have a website and all kinds of things, like.
I know.
How serious are you really about your business?
Yes, exactly. Yes. Yes.
So I have to tell you two guys and communicate clearly to you that I have got to just receive a serious crisis,
Okay.
and I have to attend in it immediately.
Okay.
So that there's no time span for me now. So that's quite clear and concise.
Okay.
And I
Clear
have
and
to love you and leave you with this one, Brant and Veronica. Thank you very much for
we are
being.
going to actually finish. I think
we're
we're finished now. We'll
right,
come
so
back
I'm gonna
together
talk
for
about
next
sleep.
week, okay?
Speak to you then.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Enjoy Ventic buttons.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
no, thank you.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So anyway, thank you for listening, and we are all going to leave, and we're going to be back again with what is the subject next week?
Buttons, you still here?
Yeah, we will carry on a little bit with communication, and then we're going to talk about trust in your company.
Oh, that's a brilliant one. Absolutely. That's such an important one in e-commerce as well. Okay, thanks guys. I love having you on this. And we have a lively discussion. Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.